Hello and welcome back to School Life. In our last video, we were able to edit the user's data which we have in our database. So we were able to do that from the front end dynamically without having to go to the database and manually clicking on any of the users to edit their details. Okay, so in this video, we're going to learn how to delete the users from the front end. Okay, we delete them. You see we have the delete button here and we have the edit button here, which can do from the database, but we don't want to do that. So we want to be able to delete our users from the front end. So currently we can add users right from the index.php page. We can add users and we can view the users we've added and we can edit the users. But now we want to be able to delete the users. So let's get started. So we're going to create a new file. So we don't need to create a new file, sorry. So we go to our users table. So just like what we did for the edit, we're going to pass a parameter here. Okay, let's pass a URL parameter instead of the href attribute. So we're going to do this, but we're just going to change this to backend. So / delete.php. All right. So we're going to be passing the user's ID to the delete.php file located in the backend. So let's create that file right away. So we'll go to backend. I will create a new file. I will say delete.php. All right. This is the simplest step. All right. So we just go and copy the update code that we have here. So inside of the delete.php, let me take out most of these guys so I don't confuse us. So inside of the delete.php, we'll paste this, and we are using get method. So we only need the user's ID. We're just going to change this to ID. All right. We change this to ID. And we take out the first name and the last name. We're going to change this to get because we're using get method. All right. I'll explain why we're using get method. So we just need to do this. We're going to say change this code, the SQL statement. We say delete from users. That's our table where ID is equal to ID. So we only need the ID bind param. Okay. We just say user deleted. So we don't necessarily need this echo we have here. So we just need the one for the field, just in case our SQL field or our execution field. So this session is doing the trick already. Okay. So, and that is all we need for this place. So we need to, yes, it's taking us back to the users.php page. All right. So once we save, let's go back to users.php. I want to change our session message to user deleted successfully. And I'd like us to use the Bootstrap class which says alert.danger. So I want it to show red whenever a user is deleted. Okay. So let's go back once we refresh. So just like we did in the edit. So once you hover on any of these, you look at the bottom here. Look at the bottom here. So you'll see it says it shows us the path to our file, localhost web dev, and it's showing us the URL where this is going to redirect us to. So backend delete.php, and the parameter we have there is the ID parameter holding a value of 1. And whenever we change to the next user, we'll see the ID for that user. Okay. So let's go ahead and delete any of the users here. Let's say we want to delete the second user here, which is Henry Mark. So once we click on delete, you see it says user deleted successfully, and the next user becomes Tina Eniola. So once we go to the database, we see we have Henry Mark here, and once we click on refresh, Henry Mark goes off. All right. So you see we have 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But when we come back to here, you see we have 1, 2, 3. So this is because this is not the user's ID that is being displayed over here. So we're just counting the number of users in the database and we are ordering them based on that. Okay. So we are ordering the numbers serially, not based on their ID, which you have on the database. And how did we do that? So we're using this. Okay, so we said key plus 1. Okay, so that is that. So this is how to delete the users from the front end. So we just pass in the parameter, which is the get method. Okay, we pass user ID in the parameter, which is the get method, and that is why we're using the get method for the delete.php to accept the data. All right, so one more thing I'd like us to do, we need to add kind of like a validation, just in case we mistakenly click on any of the users. So you see, whenever we click on any of the users, it gets deleted immediately. So we want to check and ask, do we really want to delete this user before it goes ahead? So we're going to do JavaScript, kind of like an inline JavaScript. So we're going to say, so we're going to do, so it's just not, so it's not really called an inline JavaScript. So we're going to say event listener. It's called an event listener. So we're going to say whenever a button is clicked, so we'll say on click. Okay. We're going to say return. I'm going to say confirm and open the brackets. So let's use single quotes. So we're going to say, are you sure you want to delete this user? So let's just put a question mark. It's a question, yeah? So you can either close this with a semicolon or leave it that way. All right, so let's leave it that way and see if it works. So we refresh our page. So whenever we click on any of the users to delete, so it's deleting. All right, let's go back and see why. Let's put a semicolon and see if that's going to work. So we refresh and click on any of the users. It's still deleting. So just a moment. Let's see what's wrong. On click. All right, just a moment. Let's test that out. Oh, I see what the error is. So it's confirm, not confirm. So this M is supposed to be N. So it's CONFIRM. All right, so let's try that out. So we refresh. So you just have to be careful with the typos. So once we click on any of these, let's say want to delete this Grace Philip. So it's going to prompt us and say, are you sure you want to delete? So let's correct that. It's supposed to be, are you sure, not are you want to delete. Are you sure you want, okay? Are you sure you want to delete this user? So once we go back, we refresh. So once we click on the Grace Phillips, it says, are you sure? Okay, that's correct, right? Are you sure you want to delete this user? Yeah. So once we click OK, it deletes, but once we click cancel, it doesn't delete. Okay, so that helps us to keep check. So once we click on OK, it goes ahead to delete the user. All right, so if you have gotten to this stage of this tutorial, I want to say well done and congratulations. So currently we can edit, we can delete, we can insert, and we can fetch, edit, and display them on the screen. So one more thing, let's just kind of like add a button here, just in case we want to go back to the index.php. So inside of the users, so let's go to index.php and just copy the button we have there. So this is the button. So we'll go to users and we'll paste this. Let's paste this at the top. Okay, let's say add user. All right, so change this to index.php. So once we refresh, we have the add user button here. So once we click add user, it takes us to this place. We click on view user and it brings us here. So we can just say, okay, class margin top. Let's place it 5. And here you go. So this is the add user button. So whenever we click on add user, it takes us to index.php. We click on view user, it brings us back here. All right, thank you for watching this video and congratulations so far, and I'll see you in the next video. I'd like us to continue this series by actually modifying all the things we created here by creating a new project. Thank you and congratulations.